I just got finished watching Sovereign. Really good movie. If you don't want to get any spoilers, I'll just tell you right now, it's probably a 4.5 star. I'm rating it probably higher than I think most people would, but that's also, I think, because the movie speaks to me as someone who is a dad, who's had sort of a mixed bag relationship with his own dad, and who kind of, recognizes some of the painful points of this movie that hit really close to home. But overall, it's one worth checking out, I would say. From there, let's get into spoilers. All right, the movie is about fatherhood. I know that the surface dressing makes it seem like it's a movie about, one of those sovereign citizen guys who goes around telling people, like, I don't have to pay taxes because that's my domicile and I'm not my domicile and your legal tender is not recognized. And, like, just trying to misinterpret, like, vague legal terms as a means to try and get out of paying some sort of debts or taxes or something else. There's all sorts of compilation videos you can watch. They're super cringy, and the movie really makes him annoying in that regard. But that's really not what the movie is about, because there's scenes between the stuff they show in the trailers with, like, the gunfire and him ranting and raving about the government and the sovereign citizen compilations. That's like the little scenes between Nick Offerman and Jacob Tremblay, and also at the same time, the police chief played by Dennis Quaid and his son, who is a rookie cop. So the relationships are paralleled, and the point of the movie is not just to say, look at this kooky sovereign citizen. It's to say, look at these fathers who push upon their sons the lessons that they think are important without realizing it are just actively harming their sons in either the ways that Offerman does with his son, where he's keeping him from school and making him not able to talk to people his own age. And the moment where we see his character smile the most is when he's at that school program playing basketball and talking to people. That's the thing his father's taken away from him, because he thinks he's trying to protect him. And to be clear, Nick Offerman's character, I don't think he doesn't love the son, but he's so broken for a litany of reasons. But one that the movie mentions really prominently is the situation with the mom. She's gone, as is their other kid. Offerman's character has a painful lamentation of that later. But he does love his son, and he tries to bond with him and stuff. And the same thing goes for Quaid's character with his son. He's watching closely while he's doing all of his training and giving him advice, almost like any dad would, or maybe some of you have done, while standing on the side of, like, the basketball court or the baseball field and saying, like, oh, get eye on the ball. If you ever knew a dad like that, or you were a dad like that, or your dad was like that, it speaks very clearly to you. And so the movie is painful in that regard, in a good way, because any movie that can make us remember things about life that are tangential to it that we can pick in there, it makes it valuable. The movie is good. It's bittersweet. It has some painful moments, especially in it, but some good writing in there. There's one scene in particular, a perfect cherry on top situation, where Quaid, he is telling his son, like, no, you got to make sure you don't pick that baby up when they're crying at night, or they'll just learn to keep crying. And we look at that and we're made to think, like, pick the baby up. No one wants to hear the baby cry. But at the end of the movie, after Quaid's son has been shot and killed, there's a symbolic sort of, like, lesson learned sort of situation. And it's when the baby starts crying again. Now his son's not there to pick his grandchild up. He goes in and looks down. You can see that he's kind of contemplating, should I do what I told him? No, maybe I was wrong. He picks the baby up, and the baby stops crying. He carries him out and looks at the stars with him. You can see that there's a really sad lesson learned, which is, as a dad, you want to do best by your kid. You're not always right. You need to be understanding as to when you're doing something that's hurting them or harming them in some way, when you're doing something that's for the betterment of their lives, not just to make you feel like you know what you're talking about, which is really hard for some of us dads, I think, to hear. So I think this movie's good. Take it to heart. Check it out. It's one I probably won't rewatch, I don't think, but it's a good enough movie that I would rate it 4.5 for sure.